Welcome to the Blender Goon. In this video, we're going to build this lollipop tree, learn how to navigate 3D space, and a short workflow on how to get an object out of Blender and into Second Life. So to get started, we need to bring an object into our scene. If you haven't been following my videos, you probably have a cube here. You can delete the cube by hitting X and deleting it. So let me bring in a cube here. So you can hit X and just delete your cube. To bring an object in, you hit Shift A and go to Mesh, and you can choose an object here. You can also go up to Object and Add, Add, and go to Mesh and add an object. So we'll just add a cube for now, even though we deleted one. The objects come in at the 3D cursor, which is this guy inside here. And you can move this 3D cursor by hitting this button up here and moving it around with left click. Or you can hold shift and right click, and that will move your 3D cursor. So if I move it here and I hit shift A and bring in another cube, it comes in at the 3D cursor. To reset the 3D cursor, it is shift C, and that puts our 3D cursor back. It also gives us a average center of our scene. So if you end up losing yourself, maybe you've done something like this and it's way off out of the way, you can hit Shift C and that will bring you back to more or less the center of everything. So we can go ahead and delete this cube. Don't forget, if you've selected your 3D cursor thing, you can't select stuff. You'll just move to 3D cursor. So W is the hotkey to go back to the selection box. So hit W and that'll send you back up there. And Shift C to put the 3D cursor back. And then we can select this guy and just hit X to delete it. So we've got our cube. A quick recap on how to navigate the space. So you can zoom in by scrolling your mouse wheel in and out. If you have zoomed to mouse position, if you put your mouse over here and zoom in and out, it'll move that way. I don't have that on because it bothers me. You can also hit Shift and middle mouse to pan around your scene, and hold middle mouse to rotate around your object. And there's also a rotate around selection that's in the preferences. So if you have that turned on, it'll automatically rotate around whatever you have selected. So I'm very fond of hitting the period on a number pad to zoom in on my object, and that centers it up so that I can pan around it and everything. If you don't have a number pad and you want to use if you're following my videos that I keep doing that and you don't know how, you can go up to View, and there's a frame selected, and if you right click on frame selected, you can add it to quick favorites. And once it's in your quick favorites, let's say I move over here and I want to zoom in on this, I can hit Q now and go to frame selected, and it'll do the period on the number pad for you. I'm also fond of hitting 1, 3, and 7 on the number pad, which puts you in front view, side view, and top view. So if I hit 1 on the number pad, it goes to front mode. If I hit 3, it goes to side, and if I hit 7, it goes to the top. And you can see that up here, and you can also click these buttons. So if I want front, I can hit the Y, and it'll go to front. I can hit the X, and it'll go to side, and I can hit C to go to top. And you can also grab the gray area and rotate around your object. There's also Alt and middle mouse button. So if you hold Alt, hit middle mouse button, and move up, it'll go into front view. It actually just changes the view to whatever the next one is. So I can just sit here and hold Alt and click different directions, and it'll put us in those orientations. So Blender has added a new feature where we can do snapping really easy. Objects on snap to other objects. And if you come up to this, I already got it turned on here. If you come up here to our snapping menu and go to the drop down for it, we can turn on the things we want to use. So vertex is good, and I can hold shift and click edge, and maybe edge center and face. Now if we have another object, and to copy an object, you can hit Shift D, and that attaches it to your 3D cursor, and you just move it and then left click to put it where you want it. You can also Shift D and right click to drop it right back on the same space, and then hit like GZ and move it up. To move this thing and actually snap it, you can hit G, which puts us in grab mode. Hit B, and then that gives us an icon, and it snaps the object back to where it was. And then we can choose what we want. So since we have all those things on up here, we can choose a vertex on the little corner here. a center of an edge. Well, once you pick one, hit the left click and it will grab it to that thing, and then you can snap it right to another vertex, and now that thing's perfectly on top of the other. Okay, so let's build this tree. I'm going to select this cube and I'm just going to delete it. I don't need it. We're going to select this cube here and we're going to scale it on the Z and just make it smaller. I'm not going to get real precise with the snapping and stuff. I'm just going to build something and we're going to get it into Secondlife. But whenever we get into edit mode, I'll be showing you how to snap better with 3D cursor and things like that, because you need to move point of origins and stuff. But we'll get into that in the edit mode. So there's our base for our tree. Now I need a cylinder. So mesh cylinder. And when you bring an object into the scene, you get this last operation panel. And if you click it, you can change things. This thing usually is at 32. I've been playing with stuff. But you can change the amount of edge loops that are around this thing so that it controls how smooth it is or not. So if I bring it down to 3, it's a triangle. For Secondlife, and what we're going to do here, probably 6 or 8 is fine. Once I have the object in, I can hit GZ and 1, and that'll pop it up pretty close to where we need it. Then we can scale it and Shift Z and squish it down. Shift Z constrains to the Z axis, so everything but the Z axis moves. So we can make us a little post and maybe scale it down a little bit, and then go into wrong button. Hit Alt and go into a front view or a side view, and we'll hit GZ and we'll just move it down to kind of there. Now I need a couple of these actually, so we can hit Shift D and just move it over on the X and put it down. And now we're going to bring us a cone in. So Shift A, mesh cone for our tree part, GZ, and we'll just move it up to about there. We can scale it on the Shift Z as Z again. So scale Shift Z, and then we'll squish it down and give us a little tree shape. Maybe this is a little too big, and so I'll constrain it on the Z again and scale it down a little bit and just get it looking how you want it to look. So that's our little tree. We've got our stick over here for our suckers. So I'm going to select it with left click, and I'm going to scale it on the Z more to bring it down a little bit. Maybe scale it. Sorry, that was Shift Z. Scale it down on the Z to make it a little smaller. And now we need the top of our lollipop. So Shift A, and I'm going to make a mesh cylinder again. And I'm going to give it a couple more vertices so it's not a chunky, so it doesn't look too low poly. Probably 16. I like to stay with even numbers. And then I'm going to rotate it on the X by 90. And then we'll scale it on the Y until it's, smaller. And then I'm going to go into front view by clicking a little Y here. And hit G and move it up. Get it kind of where it needs to be, and then scale it down to what size you need it to be. And, generally place it kind of close. And then my stick is a little too big, so we're going to scale it on the Shift C and make it a little smaller. And I think that looks okay. Now we can grab both of these with box select and go back into front view, so Y. And we can rotate it and go up here and stick it there. And kind of aim at it this way, and I'm going to rotate it a little bit like that. Maybe scale the whole thing down a little bit. Go into front view again. Move it a little bit. Maybe put it down here. I probably should have saved my stick and stuff, but that's okay. We'll make another one. Actually, this is a good time to show you something else. So I can select my stick and I can Shift D to copy it. I can hit Alt R to clear rotations, and now it's back straight again. And we can make us a sphere. If you want to practice using a 3D cursor, if you hit Shift S, it brings up a pie menu, and you can do cursor to selected, which will put the cursor at the point of origin, which is the orange little dot there, of our stick. And now if we bring a sphere, UV sphere in, it puts it right at 3D cursor. We can scale it down and move it up and just place it where it needs to be. We can also make another cylinder and just scale it down, scale it on the Z, scale it on the Z some more, move it up, scale it on the Shift Z, and give ourselves a little lollipop ring here. And you guys can, play with this. We're just navigating 3D space and getting ourselves accustomed to moving around and bringing things into the scene. Remember, we put our period on number pad on a hotkey so we can hit Q and do frame selected to zoom in on it. And that little guy looks cute. And you guys can play with the other shapes also. So I'm going to, yeah, it'll be fine. I'm just gonna make a copy of it and then move it where it needs to be. So Shift D and move it over here. Rotate this away. Rotate that way. I'm gonna go to top view, and then I can make copies of this thing again. So Shift D and move it, rotate it, kind of place it somewhere. Grab these two by hitting that one and just selecting that one, and Shift D and copy it, move it over here, rotate it. And I'm rotating from the top so it kind of keeps its orientation. I'm going to position myself this way and just move these around a little bit. Maybe that one definitely needs to go in more. And just place them on there how you want to place them. Once you're done with that, we can add some materials. So adding materials, the first thing you need to know about materials is per object, Second Life only allows 8. And those 8 materials translate into faces in Second Life. So if you do face select, the materials in Blender are the faces in Second Life. So we're going to go over here and drag this window up. And this little red circle over here is your materials properties. And we can click new on one. Let's do the base first. And click new. And that put a material on it, and its color is white. So we can select that little base color white, and we can drag it to like a brown. And then roll your mouse wheel, and that'll change your darkness of it, and we can get it like a wood color. Before we add materials, you're probably in solid view up here, so you need to go to material preview. You can also get to that by hitting Z and going to material preview. And I'm inserting this because I forgot to tell you before I recorded some of it, so on to the rest of the video. This part is going to be wood color also, so if you already have a material in your scene, you can hit the little globe drop down here and choose one, and I've got a whole bunch of them. I should probably remove a bunch of this. Let me delete my other tree and get rid of it. Delete all those. That collection too. And I'm just hitting X to delete that stuff. And this is a kind of a tip. If you hit this little drop down here, you can go to the Blender file, and you can go to materials, and we can remove the materials. So this material, I'm going to select it just to see what it is. 007. So I'm going to delete all of these except for 007. I'll leave that dock stroke in there. So X to delete those. Or right click, it won't let me delete them with it. And then we can go back up to this little drop down and go back to view layer. If you're enjoying the videos, please consider joining my Patreon. Any support you give helps me out a lot and gives me more time to create more content for you. Every Sunday I record live workshops in Discord, and I put them on here. Mind you, they're unedited, but I get about 2 hours every week of that. And I also have some collections that when I'm working on stuff, I put in here also. Thanks again, and let's continue the video. Okay, so that's done. So let's move this back up because we don't need to see all that. And our material 007, so we can select this and now hit our little drop down and all those crazy materials are gone. So we can just choose that and that will add the material to both objects. And you can see that it's on two objects by this little 2 here. If you want, you can click this little 2 with this object selected and that will make it its own material. So now it's 001 and you'll have 2 in here again. And then you can manually adjust stuff over here. So maybe we want a metallic, we can turn a metallic. We're not going to be baking textures, so the metallic's not going to matter right now. Let's add materials to the rest of our objects. Like I said, Second Life only allows 8, so we got to make sure we don't go over 8. So we'll put some green on this. So select a tree, click new, and darken it up a little bit maybe. When we take this into Second Life, it knows what colors we are putting on here, so we won't even have to add colors. It'll just do it for us. And we're not going to bake this time because we're making it easy. Let's give it a purple sucker here, purple, and then select this part and drop down and choose purple, red. Whoops. Did I get a white yet? I didn't make a white yet, so we'll do white last. New. Make a pink one. Oh, I keep clicking that. Yellow one. Do the drop down for yellow. So if we select all these, actually it's not going to tell us. So we got a brown, we got green, that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then white for our stick. So new for the white, and I'm going to crank this up to the top. And then I'll select that one and choose the white. That one and choose the white. Got it. That one is not. Okay. White. Okay, so we got all our colors on there. This sucker, I'm going to box select it and delete it. And I'm going to make a copy of this one. So I'm box select Shift D and move it over here because I want a copy of it. And we can shade smooth some of this stuff. So if you select an object and right click, you can do a shade. That'll smooth stuff out. These two. Right click and shade smooth. Shade smooth. Oh yeah, I'll go ahead and select these also and shade smooth. Oh, and the stick here. Also. Now we can grab all this stuff with a box select. Make sure you got it all. And I'm going to choose the base of the tree and hit Control J. And that broke all my shading. So I'm going to right click and do an auto shade smooth, and that'll fix it up. For the most part, this is still kind of janky, but it's fine. I believe, let me Control do that. If I select something that's shaded smooth, because this is not shaded smooth, so let's try that. There we go. So I selected an object that had shade smooth on it, and then this one was still regular shaded flat. So when I did it, it broke everything. But selecting something shaded smooth is fixing it. I'm actually going to Control Z that join together because this needs to move down just a hair because have a little tiny gap down here. See? So I'm just going to move that down a little bit. Box select everything. Hip select that. Control J to join it all together. And that puts all our materials over here. So we can go over here and count them, make sure that we don't have more than 8. So 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're good. If we have 9, Second Life will split this thing into 2 pieces at random. So make sure you have no more than 8 on one object. And I actually need to separate this. Ignore that. I had that selected when I selected all this. Okay, we're good there. Now we can check our face orientation, but if you've been following my videos, you'll know that the face orientation is right because you'll be able to see through it. So if I hit Z and go to material preview, and I go back to, well, I'm sorry, Z and go to solid mode, um, and get out of X-ray mode, everything looks good. If it didn't, um, I'll go ahead and show you what'll happen if it's not right. So it'll be like that. It'll be red, and everything else will be white. So as long as everything's the right color, that's good. If it's not, what happened is if you guys are scaling and things, and you're you put your mouse like right here, and you hit S, you're so close that you can accidentally flip something inside out. So don't do that. Whenever you scale, move your mouse over to the right and then scale. That way you got your line. You can. So our normals are good. Nothing's inside out. Now we need to check the size of it. So hit N on the N panel and go to item, and we can see the dimensions and we can see the scale. The scale and rotation and location, they all need to be zeroed out, or scale will be 1. So these are our dimensions. It's 3 meters tall, so we want to shrink that. And I typically bring everything in at half a meter, so I'm just going to scale it down to somewhere close to half a meter. There we go, 502 is good. And now we go up to Object, Apply, All Transforms, and before you click this, go ahead and right-click it and add it to Quick Favorites. So now I can hit Q and just do All Transforms, and that clears everything out, and we're good there. Now our tree's ready to go. So those are the 3 things you need to check, and you want to make a note of this. You want to check your face orientations, which is up here. You can turn it on and off here in solid mode, and you'll know because things will go red. And if you haven't been following my videos, the tree will be blue when you turn this on. So face orientation on, the tree will turn blue. If it turns red, everything's inside out. If you want to fix it, you can hit tab to go into edit mode, hit A to select everything, and hit shift N, and that will recalculate your normals, and the tree should turn blue if it's already red. So, and then go back to object mode. We're not doing edit mode this time, but that does need to be pointed out. So check your face orientations, check your materials, make sure you only have 8, and under item in object mode, make sure these are zeroed out, and this is what size you want. And to zero these out again, it's Object, Apply, All Transforms. And the last thing I want to do is talk about naming stuff. You want to name your materials if you can, or if you want to keep good organization, and name your objects. So this object is the tree. So you can hit from here you can hit F2, or over here you can hit F2. F2 is the hotkey to rename. So F2, and we're going to name it lollipop tree. And then that puts that over here. And if you hit this drop down, it says cylinder 0016. If you double click here and hit Control C, and then double click here and Control V, the data properties is what this thing gets named when you bring it into Secondlife. So you won't have to rename it when it comes in. And then my other one is just lollipop. So I'm going to name it lollipop. I'm also going to check the face orientation of it, which I can see is already good. I'm going to shade smooth it so it looks more lollipopish. I'm going to check my scale, location, and rotation. So I'm going to just scale this down just a hair. About 0.5. And apply my transforms. And it's got way too many materials on it. I only want the red and the white. So I can go here and remove materials. So if you hit the little minus, I can just click the minus. That's the white one, so I don't want to remove it. Go here. Yeah, minus, minus, minus. Now I just got the 2 materials that belong to this. Because I'm going to export this also. So materials, location, rotation, and scales all set, and the normals are good. So now we can export these things. Let's go ahead and export these guys. So the point of origin for Secondlife, it doesn't matter. But if you're doing like Unreal Engine and stuff, you might want to move this down and reset your transforms. So we'll just go ahead and do that anyway. So I went to front mode. I'm going to move the tree down to the world origin. I'm going to apply my transforms again. Uh, the hotkey for apply transforms also is Control A. So you can hit Control A, or you can add it to quick favorites, or you can come up here and hit Object. I like putting it on quick favorites. Just makes it easy. Yeah. So for the Unreal Engine and stuff, you want to put your point of origin where it's supposed to be, um, or adjust your object to the point of origin in relation to what's going on. But we're doing Secondlife, so it doesn't matter. When we upload to Secondlife, it's going to take this point of origin and it's going to put it right there automatically, so we don't really care where it's at in the scene. So to export, we go to File, Export, Collada, and you should have a folder already. I'm going to go to my Blender files and do a project folder and make a new folder. And I'm going to name it Lollipop Tree. And I'll save this as lollipop.dae. And up here we have operator presets. You can select that and go to static, and we can uncheck copy because we don't need it. And that's all you got to do. Go ahead and export. And now we need to get into Secondlife. All right, we're in Secondlife. And you guys can say hello to my little rats. So we're going to go to the build menu and go to upload, mesh model, and find the file. Folder, project folder, lollipop tree, and pull the DAE in, and then we can see our tree in here. If you get in here and it looks funny because things look like half invisible and stuff, that means you didn't check your face orientation, so go back to Blender and fix it. The lowest load model, we are going to turn to 0. And if you click this button, you can see what that looks like. Looks like nothing. This is what it's going to look like from like 300 meters away, so we don't care what it looks like. If you go to medium, you can see the tree, and you can zoom in and out by holding left mouse click and zoom in and out. You can also hold control and look up and down around it. So yeah, left mouse button and control left mouse button. So that's the medium load model. It looks pretty good. This thing's so low poly we can probably use above, but it's fine. So I'm gonna go to low. This is what it looks like on low. This is no good. This is gonna be terrible because when you get like 10 meters away, it's gonna smash into this. So we're gonna turn this up until it looks good. And that looks okay. It's named Lollipop Tree. We also need a physics model, so go to physics and hit to choose one, and we're just gonna put a cube on it. And there's our physics. And you can turn that view on and off here. Back to level of detail, calculate weights and fees, and we can upload. But before we upload, I'm going to explain this one more time. So the high poly model is what you're looking at it when it's right next to you. The medium is what it looks like when you start walking away from it and things collapse in Secondlife into mess. This is what's controlling that. So if you change these numbers to look good or bad, then that's what you're going to get. So medium is like, I don't know, 5 meters away. Low is like 10, 20, 25 meters away. And then lowest is like halfway across the sim, so you don't have to worry about it too much. If you don't change the lowest to 0, it's going to give you a crazy amount of land impact. But right now, this thing's half a land impact, and that's coming from the server side, so that's all good. And it's 11 lindens to upload, so we'll upload it. And it should come in with all its colors already. So we can drop her on the ground here. And there she is. You see how it stays together? It doesn't collapse. It collapsed here, but that's the lowest load model. So as we get closer, it changes load models, but you can't really tell because we did a good job. And that's our little tree. So let's jump back into Blender because I want a single lollipop because we're going to do some stuff with this later. So I've got my single lollipop here. Again, go through your last checklist. Face orientation, make sure that everything's um, either blue and well, is blue or white and not red. I got the blue turned off if you followed my videos, but if you didn't follow the videos, this whole thing will be blue with face orientation on. Um, check your materials, make sure you don't have more than 8. Um, and check your location, rotation, and scale. Make sure they're all zeroed out, and check your size. Make sure it's the size you want it. I may have to do something later with this because it's a sucker, but that's fine. I'm going to go ahead and export this. So export Collada. I did not name my lollipop here. So when I bring it into Secondlife, this is going to come in as cylinder 029. The lollipop tree came in as lollipop tree because I changed the object data properties name. So lollipop, that should have been named tree. So I'm just going to add a 1 to this, or 2. If you hit the little plus sign, it'll change the numbers over here for you. We're going to do operator preset, static, selection only. When you hit static, it puts selection only. And we can uncheck copy and just export it. And back into Secondlife, build, upload, mesh model, lollipop 2. And it's, oh, it did come in as lollipop. Interesting. Should not have. Maybe they changed something. Physics, I'll take a cube. And I'll turn the physics little button off here so I don't see that blue box. I don't care about it. Back to level of detail. So zoom in on it. So that's our high. That's our medium, and I'm not happy with that. Look how screwy the stick is. So we'll turn the medium up. And since it's a lollipop, I'm just going to generate from a use load above. So that gives me the same high poly and medium are the same. And it's only 88 triangles, so we're going to do the same with this one also. But if you want to check it, you can go to low, and you see what it does to it. And you can turn it up manually if you want until it's acceptable. But we're just going to use above. So all of them are the same load model. It never breaks. And then lowest, I'm just going to turn to 0. And calculate. And again, it's half land impact. Upload. And I can res that out also. And then we can scale it down. Oh, it came in crooked because it is crooked. It came in the same orientation, so that's fine. Probably want to straighten orientation on that thing before you export it. That way it's straight up and down. But we can work around it. And I should be able to stretch that down pretty good. Oh yeah, that'll be good. Good. And those are our objects. If you want to, you can edit this and go to select face and select this face and go to texture and go to shiny and give it like a low. And now it's shiny popsicle or shiny lollipop. That's it for this video. If you liked it and learned something, go ahead and like and subscribe. Also, join the Discord. We've got 1,100 people in our Discord server, and I'm Goon in Discord. If you have problems or get stuck, you can yell at me. I'm happy to help all the time. I also have a Patreon. If you can, go ahead and join that. And on the 17th of March, so right, today's the 7th. So on the 17th, I have live classes every Sunday at 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock Secondlife time, which is California time. We're going to try to do some animations and stuff to get these things working. So we're going to have the tree where you can click on it and it'll pass out lollipops. And then we'll have a holding animation that Celestine's going to try to make for us on the 17th. And we'll try to get it all working. And might have a little help us script all that also, unless we have them made already. But yeah, join us in Discord, and I will see you guys in the next video.